Hey everybody, today I want to cover one of my Do You Think This Is Fair episodes. And this has to do with how the registry works. And a registry is often the consequence that occurs after you're caught in one of these stings, which is the only reason I actually cover it at all. There are other people better suited who know more about it. But I want to share with you three examples, beginning with, do you think it's fair if coming out of New York City, or I'm sorry, New York, not the city. You have a guy named Renee who was caught a couple years ago in a sting in massage parlors. There are a number of massage parlors around the country, and they employ usually women that they bring in from other countries, their family members or whatever. They'll do nails, they'll do manicures, pedicures, massages, and sometimes on the massages they give a quote, a happy ending, end quote. So this happy ending, though, was not done by a child, as police argued, because they were trying to bolster their statistics. No, this was a woman that Renee had gone to many, many times. And it was adult fun. And yes, it should have been perhaps a prostitution, an adult prostitution charge. But hey, you don't get much bang for the buck from that. So they used a child charge. It was not a child. So he fought them. He's been fighting them. And he argued that the trauma that they caused with their probation and other activities gave him PTSD. And so they wanted to treat him for the PTSD that they caused. They also wanted to treat him for depression. And he said over and over again, I'm not depressed. They forced him to do both treatments at a very expensive amount. The treatment providers even laughed about how much they were forcing him to pay out. He finally demanded that they allow him to go to a independent and nonpartisan evaluator who could determine whether he really had either PTSD or depression, and whether he needed counseling for one or both. They declared that he ultimately did not need counseling, but that was not good enough for his handlers with probation and parole, because after all, they were making a lot of money. And so they went, and he went to them and said, this is what we agreed. You said this. If I could find these independent evaluators, I submitted them to you. You agreed that you would abide by their decision. And then when you received a decision that was adverse to what you wanted, you flipped out. And they demanded, nevertheless, that they were not going to abide by the decision they had made, and that he needed to continue the process or else. And the or else was they would take him to court. So they did. And the judge, without listening to anything at all, put him in prison for 2 years. 2 years, because he refused to be under their thumb, being punished with so-called therapy, torture in effect, when it was completely unnecessary, by two clinicians who would be in a position to evaluate him without having any monetary requirements linked to their evaluation. So he sits in prison for 2 years for this abomination. Do you think that's fair? Do you think you give up all your rights when you go into probation? You do not, although they would certainly have you believe that, and certainly you give up some of your rights for his 10 years on probation for that. That's right, 10 years on probation for something he never did. Okay? Second story, out of Florida. In Florida, you had a man who forgot to register, to re-register in his periodic registration. He wasn't a lifetime offender necessarily, but even if he were, he showed up 10 days late. So he went on his 10-day late spree, realized he made his mistake, went to the police to register and fill out the paperwork, and they arrested him for violating his requirement to re-register. So he didn't skip, he didn't ignore it, he realized a mistake, and because he forgot, they arrested him and now he's in jail. Do you think that's fair? Should you be rearrested? Now, mind you, he didn't do anything sexually with anyone. He just forgot. Do you think that's a reason for punishing someone by rearresting them? The third story, okay, and this is sort of a global story, several cases around the country. Let's say that you go on something like I was on a while back, a site. I won't name it necessarily. I talk about these in my videos, and you forget to tell the police about it, or you are not aware that they have a policy restricting you. And then someone gets their nose out of joint because they don't like what you're saying on there, even though they had no problem when you were looking for a plumber, you were looking for a somebody to do some work around the house, you were looking for what have you. They had no problem whatsoever until you commented about some scary sex offenders down the street that some woman characterized as violent sex offenders, and you asked her what was her belief, what was her informed belief that they were violent, and she just said, well, they're sex offenders, they must be violent. Of course, she has no idea how easy it is to get on the registry. So you're banned from there, and worse than that, you end up being imprisoned because you didn't send within 30 minutes to the state police that you were on a particular site. Maybe you forgot about it. Maybe it occurred before you got in trouble. Is that a reason? If you weren't soliciting sex, you were just trying to get a vendor to fix your light switch. Is that a reason to put you in prison? Hit me back. Let me know what you think about that specifically. I know it's very popular for the troll community to go on here and distract and use some other minor thing, comment about what I look like or what I must have done or why I'm mentioning this or this person I'm talking about must really be me or whatever else they want to project onto me. Let me know what you think. Is this fair? Because this is how the sex offender registry rolls.